You read the title. In this video I've covered some programs to improve your 3D workflow. I'll start from something light and then move to something more juicy. But let's begin. The first program will be helpful if you have been in this type of situation. You want to match your 3D camera to some reference photos. If you, for example, need to recreate a real-world scene from an image. But the angle is never quite right. You can spend a ton of time trying to manually align your 3D camera. But I have a trick up my sleeve. FSpy is an open source tool to simplify this process. With FSpy, you can quickly match your camera perspective to any reference photo. Just place this rectangle somewhere on a flat surface in the photo to show FSpy the dimensions of the photo. And then just export the scene to Blender. This will not only make the process faster, but also better. That way you can save time and get perfect camera alignment every time. Also, here's a quick tip. You can put your reference photo as a background in your Blender's camera settings to make it easier to recreate objects from that photo and just see what you're doing. I've already made a few videos about how to make a model in PS1 style, but you know what any model can't go without? That's right, textures. And yes, I've talked about how to create PS1 style textures in those videos. But what I didn't talk about is this program that will make your texturing pop even more. So, what is it? SLK Image to Pixel is a small program that will add a little bit of that magic to your textures. It's like Lightroom but for pixel art. Picture this. You're working on a game, or you just want a stylized model and need some textures to match that pixel art aesthetics. And you already made some textures, but you want to add something extra. That's when this piece of software comes into play. You can just import your textures and tweak them to your liking. I like to add a bit of sharpening, a bit of contrast, maybe even restrict the number of colors to make it look retro, and that dithering effect to make things more interesting. And better yet, you can just as easily transform any existing texture you have to be pixelated. So you're working on a futuristic environment and you need some intricate paneling and circuit board patterns, you know, the usual sci-fi stuff. And again, you can spend time and make all that by hand, but it can be time consuming and tedious. So how to make our lives easier in that particular area? JSplacement is that program that will help you to make all those patterns literally in one click. There's a ton of settings, presets and all that. And you can export height, normal and color maps. And the best part is that you can use it not only for Blender or 3D in general. Here's an effect I did when I was just learning DaVinci Resolve. And yeah, at its core the effect is just an image from JSplacement with some stuff added to it. As you can see, this is useful in a number of situations, so I'd highly recommend downloading it. This is the one program I use on every sculpt or 3D scan I come across. But what is it and why should you use it? Instant Meshes is a simple program for retopology. You know, when you have a high poly model either from sculpting or 3D scanning. Those models sometimes can have tens or even hundreds of thousands of polygons, which is not very suitable for anything. I mean, you can use it, but it's better to take all those details and bake them onto another model with less polygons. I know, it sounds like black magic, because it is, but it's a very common technique. Maybe I'll make a video about it in the future. Let me know in the comments if you want that. But how do people get those models with less polygons but still keep the original shape? Traditionally, you can do it by hand. And for non-organic models, this is the way to go. But for models where you have more flexibility, you can skip this boring part and just automate it. Here some people use Decimate, some people use Unsubdivide, but I found it's best to use Instant Meshes because it just gives me more options to work with. One feature I really like is that I can just draw on the model where I want my topology to go, whether I need it to go the certain way or I just don't like the way the program did it. And if you absolutely hate everything except quads, you can enable this checkbox and your topology will be clean. And there is a ton of options to troubleshoot or just tweak the mesh that you want. I wouldn't go into all of them, but here's a simple breakdown on how to use it. Just import your model here, then press solve to see all those lines, then press solve again to see the preview of the mesh that you'll end up with. Now you can select the edge brush and draw the path that you want the polygons to follow, but this is optional of course. Now just press extract mesh, and if you're happy with the result, you can export your model. And you know, do your thing, do whatever you want with it. Alright, last but not least, the one and only, the legend, Pureref. But hold on, let me explain why I put it here. Even though it seems that all of us here know about this awesome piece of code, I feel it is important to mention it, so that all the newbies will hear about it and actually understand why they should use it. So, what is Pureref? It is a free and easy to use program to sort all your references and keep them in one place. You can just drag and drop the images from anywhere, so you don't need to download every single image on your PC. You can just open your favorite Pinterest board and just drag all the images in Pureref. Then position, align and group them how you want. After you're done working, you can just save that scene to have all those images accessible to you every time you need them. On top of all that, you can just as easily export all those images in plain .png format. And in a recent update, the devs added GIFs, grouping, drawing, updated the UI and added a hierarchy system. This just goes to show that this is not just some lost artifact, but an actively evolving software. So yeah, this is a very versatile program I think every creator needs to have installed. Even if you're not a 3D artist, if you do any form of digital creative work, Pureref is a must.